Do hormones have a role to play when it comes to weight? Can an imbalance in hormone affect how effective your weight management strategy is? And the answer is yes. Welcome back to Health Made Easy. This is part 2 of the video that was done on can hormonal imbalance affect weight loss. This was a webinar that was done on Health Talk Sundays, and in the first video we spoke about how hormones do impact weight loss, and we took a look at estrogen being one of the hormones that can impact that journey. In this video, we'll be taking a look at some other hormones and also some strategies that can help to regain balance. So here we go.
The second one, insulin resistance. So with insulin, it's a hormone that regulates blood sugar, and it does also play a role in fat storage. So if you have insulin resistance, that can cause high levels of insulin to be produced, trying to get back the sugar levels under control. And that high level of insulin or insulin itself can actually increase fat storage. So persons might experience cravings, especially for the high carb foods. They may see weight gain, mainly around the belly section as well. And conditions like PCOS can contribute to insulin resistance. And to give an idea of the management for this is, of course, again, consulting with your doctor. Very, very important is find out what's going on. Same as before, managing any underlying illnesses, maintaining a healthy weight, managing insulin levels through what your doctor has recommended for you, and also looking at an anti-inflammatory diet, which I'll talk about a little bit more, including the fiber-rich foods in each meal, limiting processed and refined foods. To give an example of what these kind of foods are, think of the packaged foods, so like the chips, the junk food, the fried foods, the foods that are high in sugar as well, or high in sugar and salt and fat, but are very low in nutrients. Engaging in exercise as well, while limiting excessive cardio. So everything is balanced, especially when you're talking about balancing hormones. I'm going to tell you why mentioning limiting excessive cardio in a little bit as we go further down. Moving on to the third hormonal imbalance that can occur and affects weight is thyroid is an underactive thyroid. So normally our thyroid hormones have several functions, but one of them is to help regulate our body's metabolism and produce energy. And the metabolism is how we're burning the calories. And of course, when we talk about weight loss, we're talking about burning calories as well. So if your thyroid isn't acting properly, then metabolism might be slow. You're not burning calories as much as possible, and it may lead to some weight gain as well. And for that, of course, you go to your physician, you talk to them and help them, and they'll help you devise a plan to address the thyroid issue itself and the underlying cause of what could be happening for your thyroid. We are now moving to adrenal imbalance. Let's give an idea. So the adrenals are those little things that sit on top of the kidneys, and they produce several hormones, but one of them hormones they produce is a stress hormone called cortisol. So let me ask a question. Now we are faced with so many stressors, right? And I'm sure if I ask every one of you to name a stressor that you know of, we can all probably name different ones. So I'm going to ask you to name one source of stress that you can think of in the chat for me, please. So I'm seeing illnesses coming up. So yes, financial problems can come up, work stress as well. Yes. So stress doesn't have to be just the stress that is around you, but it can also be stress like physical illness. That can be a stress as well, long-term stress. So when we have a stress, in whether it's good stress or bad stress, our adrenals usually work by producing this hormone, the cortisol, or the stress hormone. And it usually isn't working nicely. But when we have this long-term stress, it can cause an imbalance, right, of high cortisol levels. And I'm going to show you very shortly of the different effects that it can have, right? And so this long-term stress that is coming in as well can cause an issue with leading to high levels of the cortisol, the stress hormone. Some other things that can cause adrenal imbalance or high levels of cortisol is over-exercising. So while regular exercise is essential for weight loss, in some cases doing too much can actually make the cortisol levels spike. And so it's important to find balance and to rest, have rest days for exercise, right? Listen to our body. The unhealthy diet as well. Too much processed food, sugary snacks can also contribute to this balance. And so opting for a healthier diet is good and helps to regulate better cortisol level. Certain health conditions as well and medication can also lead to this high level of cortisol as well, and poor sleep. right? So yes, so many different things can happen, right? Can cause this issue. Now let me show you what happens with cortisol. So we spoke about the vicious cycle with the estrogen, right? And we saw here that the fat cells can also cause insulin resistance and also cause inflammation. So a lot of the things are, as you can see, can connect when one thing is out of balance. Now we're going back to cortisol. So we're having that high levels of stress, right? For example, so the cortisol levels are high. It can actually cause blood sugar levels to become high, which, if for long, can cause insulin resistance, which again causes the weight gain, which can cause inflammation, and sex and thyroid hormones can be disrupted. So it's like this cycle that's one after the other. Once one gets out of whack, if we don't take a handle on it, right, as soon as we recognize that something is going on. And to regain balance with this adrenal imbalance, for example, consulting your doctor, always the first thing I'm going to recommend. Addressing underlying conditions, regular balanced meals as well, regular balanced exercise. So engaging in a well-rounded exercise routine, so you incorporating the rest days, having a variety of exercise, paying attention to your body's signals for recovery. Because as I mentioned before, that excessive exercise, especially, so cardio is good, but sometimes doing excessive cardio for some persons can actually end up with that high level of cortisol spike, which can make it harder to lose weight. So if you're thinking for something like cardio and you want to do that, maybe you can look for something more low impact, like maybe brisk walking, yoga, or something along those lines. But it's really more about balancing and not doing too much of one thing. So identifying and managing stressors as well. Some of you, you already posted a lot in the chat, right, of different areas of stressors. So finding a way to de-stress, and I'll list a few soon. Engaging in an anti-inflammatory diet can also support adrenal health, and I'll talk about that. Ensuring adequate hydration. So making sure that you're staying hydrated and engaging in adequate sleep. Now, last one I'm going to mention today in terms of the hormone imbalance is the hunger versus full hormones. Now I'm going to ask a question. Has anyone ever stayed up late or maybe got a little bit of sleep, maybe just a few hours, and when they woke up, they were extremely hungry, craving something sweet or maybe something salty or the fatty foods? Has it ever happened to anyone? And I'm saying yes. Yes. So I know how that feels as well. And it does happen. And there's a reason for that. See, that disruption that poor sleep can actually affect the hormones that control hunger and the hormones that say, hey, you're full now, it's time for you to stop. So unfortunately, it's the hunger hormone that goes up and the one that says you're full that goes down. So you get an imbalance in that. And so and it's usually for those sugary, fatty foods that we're feeling for when we're losing out on sleep as well. And so, of course, that can lead to that weight gain, that unwanted weight gain. All right, so I'm seeing several persons said yes to the sleeping one. So just to summarize everything in terms of management, how can we help to maintain normal hormonal balance in our body? So working with your doctor is crucial to identify and treat any specific hormonal balance that you may be experiencing. So recommending that you schedule regular checkups, discuss with them what's going on, share your concerns. If anything to be investigated, they can. Then that way they can tailor a plan for you. So their personalized management plan. And of course, addressing any underlying conditions that you may have. Engaging in regular physical activity, as mentioned before. So ideally, we recommend aiming for 150 minutes of aerobic exercises mixed with strength training, and that's recommended by the American Heart Association. And of course, to remember the rest days, limit exposures to food and toxins that disrupt the hormones. I hope everyone was able to get a screenshot of that. And then there's dietary recommendations. So the quality of your food is very crucial, right? And I'm going to talk more on that. So if you're thinking about focusing on nutrient-rich foods that are fiber, including good amount of fiber in your diet, meeting your dietary recommendation for fiber intake, choosing more organic or hormone-free or antibiotic-free options of foods does help to reduce your risk of exposure to those things that can disrupt hormones. The cruciferous vegetables, I mentioned a few of them before, like the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, the phytoestrogen as well, which can come from soybeans, wheat, legumes, seeds as well. And these are good to help with the help get rid of some excess estrogen levels as well. And of course, having a balanced meal. So a balanced meal is one that has like lean protein in there, having some healthy fats and fiber. This actually helps to keep blood sugar levels and insulin levels more stable. So you don't get a quick spike. It's more stable to help regulate better hormones as well. Now, I mentioned several like an anti-inflammatory diet. Anti-inflammatory diet is one that is rich in fruits and vegetables and whole grains, legumes, peas, beans, nuts, and seeds as well. If you're going to have animal protein, then you can think about having maybe 2 to 3 times a week, but focus mainly on fish that from wild fish, for example, like or salmon or mackerel several times a week. That helps to give you some healthy fats and extra nutrients as well, and limits the exposure to certain things. And one thing to remember when thinking about eating healthy is even though something may be nutrient rich, with everything, it's moderation and watching be careful of portion size as well. Because still being mindful of your overall intake in terms of quantity. And the foods in terms of limiting is limiting the highly processed food. I gave examples of before, the refined foods, limiting alcohol as well. Remembering to limit the what foods that have the hormones added, antibiotics added, that have added sugar as well in there. And so when I mentioned here quality of the food and not just the quantity, is because you could be eating, two persons could be eating the same amount of calories. One person is seeing the amazing results and the other person isn't. And sometimes when you look at the eating habits, whether they're eating, that's the big difference. For example, if someone chooses to eat, maybe say 100 of their calories is from broccoli, and another 100 of their calories is from candy, right? It's going to be a dramatic difference for them, because if the broccoli would help with getting the nutrients that you need, right, helping with the estrogen balance, versus if you're eating a candy that can trigger inflammation, trigger more cortisol levels, hormonal disruption, and fat storage. So what we're eating matters a lot as well. It's not just the amount of calories, but what are we putting into our body? Is it helping us to stay healthy, or is it disrupting the hormones, affecting us the ability to lose weight as well as we want to? Other things very, very important. Most times we think about losing weight, we think about exercise and eating healthy, but sometimes we forget about self-care and stress reduction techniques as well. So this is something very important. You saw how stress can affect weight in different ways. So engaging in self-care and stress management techniques is something to look into. Identify the stressors, whether it's deep breathing. When you're thinking about self-care, think about journaling, gratitude, maybe going into some facial spa time or yoga, deep breathing. The variety of things that can help with that. Now, moving on to sleep. Again, we recognize how important sleep is for many reasons, and for one, it's coming to our weight as well. So, thinking about the quality and quantity of sleep as well here. Sometimes you can get 7 to 9 hours, 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, and may wake up feeling not refreshed, right? So think about the quality of sleep as well. If you're stressed out or worried about some things, you may not actually sleep as soundly as you're thinking, right? And so there are some things to look into as well. All right, so in summary, putting it together, hormonal imbalances can create what they call like a chain or a domino effect. So whether influencing the hunger, how we burn calories, how we store fats, and so the chronic stress, the poor sleep, unhealthy lifestyle can exacerbate these imbalances. So even if you think you have those hormonal imbalances and want to get it, just remember to pay attention to those other things as well that can impact hormonal balances. So involve management, a reminder, involves seeking the medical advice, adopting a balanced lifestyle, and addressing any underlying causes. Incorporating regular exercise. One thing that is important is that you recognize that, or you would have realized by now, going on a weight management journey, whether it's the weight loss or to maintain the weight, to have a healthy weight, it is an individualized approach, right? And that's why it's so good that you go with your physician as well, and you work closely with them so they can tailor the plan and make sure there's nothing else going on. Also consider the invaluable support of a wellness coach as well, who can guide you on your personalized plan, keep you accountable and motivated on the plan as well. And we do have a team of wellness coaches as well that can help you stay on track with your wellness goals. That's okay. You can reach out to us to get in touch with our wellness coach. All right. So, as you reflect today, if there's anything you found yourself nodding along, or maybe you know someone who could benefit from this information and maybe they're not on, you could share the recording with them. Everything was recording today. I want to say thank you so much for being here today.